The next time I woke up, it was 2 weeks later. I heard a harp playing. I couldn't see. I was completely blind. The swelling and blood behind my eyes had caused pressure that had blinded me. Everything was black, but I heard a harp playing heavenly music, and I said aloud to myself, I must be dead. I died. This must be heaven. The next thing I heard was the voice of Gail Zappa yelling, "Oh my God, she woke up, Moon." She rattled on, "You're awake. I made you a dish of pasta. It's your favorite. Can you smell it? You must eat. You haven't eaten in 2 weeks. Oh my God, Dale, you fell out a fucking window. What were you doing?" Just before I passed out, I replied, "Am I in heaven? Is this heaven?" Gail said, "No, it's Gail Zappa. You're in Frank's living room. We put a mattress in the living room. I had Moon bring her harp in here to try and wake you up. This isn't heaven, it's Zappa's." I passed out again. The next time I woke up, it was months later. I don't know when I woke up. I couldn't see. I was still blind, but I knew I was awake. I was screaming. I remember the moment because in life, the most treacherous moments stay with you longer than the happiest moments. The trauma never leaves. Tragedy is the most intense event. It can smother love. There is nothing worse than tragedy. I woke up and snapped into the reality. Blind and screaming with a throbbing pain in my head, I tried to pick up my hands, but somebody was holding them, and my hands were soaking wet. I felt it. I was awake. I was aware. I heard someone sobbing, "Dolly, Dolly." It was my father. His nickname for me was Dolly, like a child's doll. I was his little Dolly. He was screaming, "Dolly is awake. Oh, Dolly, you were going to die. Don't die, Dolly. Don't die." He was sobbing, soaking my hands with his tears. I only heard my father sob like this once before, when my mother left him when I was 9. But he did that behind a locked door. Now it was in front of me. I told him, "Daddy, don't cry. Stop crying. Everything is going to be all right." It was the same thing I heard in my ear as I was falling out the window. I asked him, "Why can't I move? Why can't I see? Tell me why. What happened?" I couldn't move. I couldn't cope. I was screaming. I was on intravenous morphine and intravenous food. Days went by. The pain started to lessen. I had been on life support all this time. They started to tell me what had happened. They told me I had been in a hospital, the Holy Santa Maria Hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which my dad had built. They explained that my mother came and got me in LA and flew me on a plane back to Boston while I was in a coma. A doctor came in and explained I was blind because the blood was behind my eyes from the swelling on my brain. He explained that this should dissipate over time and I should get my eyesight back. He went on and on in detail. I was trying to cope. They told me they were monitoring a blood clot in my head. Now I was awake. Eventually, they transported me back to my mother's apartment, the same one I had been living in against my wishes. It was the place I escaped to see Frank and that I drove away from to make my way across the country to fulfill my Playboy dreams. I was back right where I started, stuck, flipped right back. I couldn't believe it. All that trouble. I had gone to see Hefner, but he wouldn't even talk to me. And then I saw Frank, and he had given me the gig singing on Joe's Garage. Then to have had this tragic accident, and I have to start all over again. I had to wake up and learn to not be afraid of the dark. But all I saw then was dark. Even after I left the hospital, I had to go for a CT scan every week to make sure the blood clot was shrinking. I was on morphine at home for the pain and trying to get off the morphine, but I was addicted. I couldn't walk right. My left leg was fucked. My knee was wrapped for months. My ribs healed, but I still couldn't see. My vision slowly came back. It went from black to gray, then into white. Then I could see a shadow here and there that eventually became more descript. Sooner or later, it just all came to me. Terry would call and check on me occasionally. He would fill me in on how the tour was going. They were traveling and playing here and there. He was waiting on me to get better and move back to Los Angeles. Here I was, broken and trapped in my mom's apartment. Months went by, and I got a call from Terry saying, "We're coming to Boston. You have to come to the show." I was in no shape to do that. My hair was just starting to grow back a little bit. I was walking with an umbrella instead of a cane, trying to be cool. I hung up the phone and told my cousin Candy, that was Terry. They are playing at the Orpheum tonight. That was the same place I had first met Frank. My life was in a whole rewind at that point. I told her, "I think Terry and Frank are going to come visit me after the show." Candy said, "No way, Frank Zappa is coming out to Medford to see you after the show." I thought for a long time and finally agreed. "You're right," I said. "Let's go there. Let's take her car." Candy and I took my mother's car, the same yellow car, and we drove to the same concert hall. But instead of climbing the fire escape, I went to the stage door and banged on it with my umbrella cane. I told the security guard, "I'm Terry Bozzio's girlfriend and I'm here to see Frank Zappa. Let me in." They let me in. Just like the first time I saw Frank, I got there late and just in time for the last song of the encore. Same story. So strange. Frank came out and saw me. He said, "I've got one more song." I said, "I've heard that one before, Frank." He laughed. He then said, "Did I tell you how beautiful you are?" I thanked him and told him I had to go home. "Frank, I stole the car again, just like the first time I met you. I can't stay here." Frank said, "Yes, you can. We're leaving for Europe tomorrow morning from New York. You have to get on the train to New York and come with us to Europe." I told him, "Frank, I'm on morphine. I'm sick." He smiled and said, "You come with us and you'll feel better. I'll make you a deal. If you come to Europe, I'll get you in the Vatican to see your Pope. All right?" Frank made me a deal. He said, "When we get to Rome, if you walk up the steps of the Sistine Chapel with Terry and Patrick O'Hearn, and they tell me you made it to the top, you will prove you're not afraid anymore. I will arrange for you to see your Pope. Deal?" I think now how privileged I was to be a friend of Frank's. I went home and packed my little suitcase. I said to my mother, "I'm leaving you." She said, "You can't leave. You're sick. You're disabled. You will never be as beautiful as you used to be. You'll never make it." Over and over, she was right. I wasn't as beautiful as I was after I fell on my head. I was once so beautiful, untouched in a tiny little light bulb. They broke me in a million pieces. They crazy glued me back together. I wrapped myself up and pulled myself up by my bootstraps. If Frank said I could do it, then I could do it. I met the band in New York and flew with them to Europe. Frank took care of me. They got me codeine pills. Slowly, I got off the morphine. Little by little, I came back together again as whole. The first few days and weeks were a blur. But Terry and Frank kept me going. I was healing and getting back to normal, or at least what was normal for me. We traveled through many cities I had only seen in history books. My passport was getting stamped left and right. As was the tradition of the day, I would send my dad postcards. He kept those for many years. I wish we had cameras back then. I would have a collection of fabulous faces in far-flung places. But cameras were a luxury, and camera phones were the stuff of science fiction.